Welcome back, guys. Welcome, 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 welcome. Thank you guys for being here. Look at this hair, it's all crazy. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Thank you guys for popping in. Shout out to everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me give some time for the people to get in here. Because I know I pushed back the time for like 5 minutes and whatnot. So let everybody get in here. Let's do a little intro and hopefully that'll alert the notifications and everybody get in here. Get in here. Ooh-wee, welcome back to the channel, y'all. Shout out to everybody. Mary Lee says, good evening from the West Coast where the sun is just set. Ooh, love it, love it. Shout out to everybody. Just what I needed. My son has been having open heart surgery since 10 a.m. and still not done. Okay, A. Taylor, let's put some hearts in the chat for A. Taylor. A. Taylor, nothing but positive vibes your way and healing towards your son. And hopefully, you'll get some news here pretty soon. Okay. We love you very much and we're thinking about you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Look at all those beautiful hearts. Let me greet everybody. And I just saw somebody just became a member. Kathy, welcome. Bacon Mama has been a member. Well, Kathy, welcome to the membership. But Bacon Mama has been a member for 6 months. Thank you. You are awesome. Thank you, everybody. Let me see who's in the house. Nebulous, Chico, Kitty Coo. I saw earlier. Pika. Who else? Who else? Who else? Shelly Kelly. Thank you for being here. Sarah Lynn. Yes, everybody. Who else? I saw Chico. Who else did I see? Nicole, how you doing? I will be able to join more live streams in a few weeks. Just listen. You gotta heal. You heal with that knee surgery, okay? Do what you got to do. And thank you, Nicole, for being here. Shout out to you, and I hope you're doing well. SW is in the house as well. SW is in the house. Listen, thank you. DB, everybody, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let me see who else. I don't want to miss anybody. Hey, Glow, how you doing, my love? Shout out to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ginger O Snap, Shannon. I see Mountain Princess, Cheshire Cat. Thank you, Canine Peace of Mind, Megan Hill, Kimmy. Everybody come through. Thank you for being here. Rhiannon, thank you for being here. Lisa, thank you. All right. Nancy G. You guys know I got to do my little greetings as I'm skipping through to see who's in here. Thank you, LS. You tell them to hit the like button. It's free, doesn't hurt you. Hey, Shrinking Sharon, how you doing, love? Hope you're doing well. Um, who else? Rachel, thank you for being here. Tinkle Tits, how are you, my love? I hope you're doing well. I hope Sadie's doing well. Lisa, Shout out to you, Don. Thank you. Let's get this Thirsty Thursday rocking. Kids in bed, let's go. Ooh, that means we can cuss. Shout out to JD from Philly. That means that we can use adult words. Mom Dukes, thank you for being here. Thank you. All right. Let's see. Who else do I have in the house? I think I've greeted everybody for the most part. How are you, Gail? Thank you guys. Oh, you guys are awesome. Whew, I'm out of breath. Nancy, yes, you've been following this crazy story. So have I. Actually, hold up. Let me see if there's any other members. Hey, Erica, how you doing, my love? I was thinking about you today earlier too, because of that email, but also some other merch that we are uploading that's more on the true crime side for those that follow me there. NT Treasure Finder. Ooh, is that mean? Are you a Tennessee? Is the NT for Tennessee? Let me know. Anybody from Tennessee in here? Because I think the story is more about um everybody in that area. Okay. Jilbo, welcome. I think I say that Jilbo Baggins. Shout out to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Proud Fleaboard Warrior. Shout out to everybody from Germany. Look at the rabbit is international. I mean, listen, we were in the UK. We got UK supporters. Shout out to Wim. Okay. Shout out to all my beautiful, wonderful people from the UK. Thank you. I know. I know, Chico. I was just wondering if other folks, I know you are, but other folks, like I know you are, but other folks that are joining us, you're in Tennessee, everybody, okay. You're see Pika rep in Memphis over here. We right. Okay, Margot, thank you for being here. Okay, perfect. And this is why I asked this question. Chico, you tell me how close you are, or at least how well known the story is to you. A couple years ago, I want to say 2 years ago, I was doing a review on a docu-series, okay? The Way Down Church. Well, it was, yeah, it was the Way Down, what is it? God, Greed, and the Cult of Gwen Shamblin. The lady with the hair high enough to, I don't know, meet God, right? And it was a, what is it? 3-part series, 4-part series of a docu-series that HBO Max released. Okay. And it's a very interesting series because it talks about a woman who essentially didn't like her religion and decided to open her own religion and then slowly somehow became the prophet of that whole fellowship. Okay. Yes. Thank you, Sarah Lynn. The higher the hair, closer to God, closer to Jesus. Nothing wrong with JD. You are so right. Listen, shout out to my Aquanet beautiful people out there. I got some. It's not Aquanet because I don't know where to find Aquanet anymore. I don't. Yes, Memphis. You heard? Okay, you heard. All right, all right, all right. I have traditional hairspray that is not Aquanet, but they could definitely do like an Aquanet thing. All right. You talking about way up. You talking about you can't even see because of her. I don't know. That whole thing needed a whole thing. But anyway, shout out to her and shout out to everybody that still wears the Aquanet hairstyle. Your mom used Aquanet because like Rave was the best hairspray for the making of big hair. Well, okay. So let's move on from the hairstyle. I don't think they sell Aquanet anymore, but that's a good question, Lisa. Shout out to you. All right, y'all. Let's get it together. Okay. So, hey, Leila. Hey, Ronnie. Everybody coming through. So she didn't really like her traditional church type of deal. She decided to start her own little church, and so much information has come out of that. During the time that HBO Max was doing this docu-series exposing this cult, there were so many people that interviewed and whatnot. Okay. The people she had a airplane accident where her and her husband and other members of that church passed away, like she died in an airplane crash, right? So they still went ahead and released this docu-series, which was very interesting because it gave testimonies and it gave information about other people that were affected by this cult. Okay. And for those that so let me tell you, this was released a while ago. Okay. So there's more information. Let me show y'all. Hold up, y'all. Sorry, people are calling me. This is the one that I'm referencing to. It came out a couple years ago. I did a review of this on my channel 2 years ago. Literally 2 years ago, we talked about it. It was a very interesting docuseries. See, I've been talking about cults for quite some time, but this specific one was very interesting in that there were so many victims. There was a death of a child. There was a lot. So it was a mess, right? Gwen Shamblin, when she died, I believe her oldest daughter took over and she became the leader of this church, right? Her son Michael has since done an interview and has spoken out against Gwen and the fellowship as well. Now, in order to really understand the fellowship, I feel like it's important to kind of do just a little quick little info about this fellowship, okay? This is just a website called Got Questions, Your Questions, Biblical Answers. So if you have questions about a specific type of religion, you type it in there and then you could find maybe a reference. But they explain this fellowship, the Remnant Fellowship, okay? And you can actually search on YouTube and still find a lot of information about this whole church cult, all right? So the Remnant Fellowship is a religious organization with roots going back to 1986 in Memphis, Tennessee, and a weight loss program founded by Gwen Shamblin, a dietitian. The program called Way Down Workshop used biblical principles to help overweight people regain control of their diet and their bodies. The program was so successful that it accredited with helping people overcome all kinds of addictive behaviors. Many evangelical churches across the country used the Way Down workshops in the 1990s. By 1999, Shamblin and others began a church, Remnant Fellowship. Give me one sec, you guys. Sorry, y'all. I got interrupted. So, where did I leave off? So, where are we at? Many evangelical sure. Oh, hold up. I got somebody else at my door. One sec. One sec, y'all. One sec. Thank you. That's what happens when you got Amazon people here. They drop off stuff. Okay. So the program was so successful that it credited help with helping people overcome all addictive behaviors. Many evangelical churches across the country used the Way Down workshops in the 90s. By 1999, Shamblin and other churches began a church, or excuse me, Shamblin and others began a church called the Remnant Fellowship Church in Nashville, Tennessee. Soon after that, Shamblin publicly denied the biblical doctrine of the Trinity. Okay, so for those that are into, listen, I'm not into the Bible. I'm not an expert at it. All right. I read it when I can, but I understand a little bit of the Trinity at the very least. I could say that. The name Remnant Fellowship reflects their conviction that most modern churches are counterfeit churches filled with idols. They see themselves as fulfillment of Ursa, which speaks of God leaving a remnant who will serve him. The Remnant Fellowship hold up, strongly proselytizes attendees of their Way Down workshops, urging them to leave their false churches and join the only remnant that is pleasing to God. Their focus is upon strict and complete obedience to God in every area. However, that obedience is often defined as conformity to Gwen Shamblin's opinion of what God wants. To criticize or disagree Shamblin's teaching in any area is to be out of the will of God. Okay? Yes. Yeah, right, right. So there's a deny and people debate about the Trinity. Listen, I don't because I am not very well versed in that. I'm gonna start a new church and call it True Crime in Jesus and enjoy my tax deductions. Listen, I'm about to nowadays anybody can start a cult apparently. The rabbit cult. Now, no, I'm not gonna do that, but I'm just saying. Yes, you replace food with God was her motto. Thank you, love, for saying that. Glad the chat slowed down. I test so freaking slow. No worries, JD. No worries. There are so many cults that have been started, a bunch of sick puppies out there. My mom joined one in the early 50s, a temple of more abundant life. Really, Marilee? Wow. Her program was in my church and a bunch of ladies were doing it. Ooh, wow. Hey, Jay McCarthy, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, what y'all saying over here? Okay. Hey, Cheeks, how you doing, love? Okay, everybody. No, not the TRC, the rabbit hole. Girl, no. Don't get me kicked out of it. Don't get me blacklisted. I'm already blacklisted in various areas. So pissing the people on Reddit off. Shout out to the Reddit people. Hell, they already considered you us a cult. We're easily manipulated, apparently, girl. Right? Right, Chico? Right? They started out as part of the Church of Christ and then started making their own changes following their own beliefs. That's interesting. So let's keep reading, right? And shout out to everybody that knows more about this topic. But I wanted to do a little reading, so then we're going to get into Michael's interview, okay? Shout out to everybody. Thank you for coming in. So, the website of the Remnant Fellowship refers often to the truth with a capital T, the capital letter T, that closely mirrors Jesus' truth with the twist. She agreed that Jesus is the only way to God, yet she denied that Jesus is God, and she stretched such strict obedience to the law that her doctrine constitutes salvation by work. In many areas, the church insistence upon a healthy diet and their disdain for medications crosses over into a man-made legalism. Gwen Shamblin essentially set herself up as a prophet of God, and her opinions are considered direct revelations of the truth. The Remnant Fellowship has been identified as a cult by some cult experts, and there's an abundance of testimonials online from former members of the Remnant Fellowship recounting stories of mind control, disembowering family members, shaming, authoritarian leadership, and other problems. Employees of the Way Down Workshop are required to attend the Remnant Fellowship Church or be fired. Some former employees sued Way Down in 2000 and 2001 in federal court over the loss of their jobs. Gwen Shamblin, her husband, and five other Remnant Fellowship leaders were killed in an airplane crash in May of 2021. The ministries of Remnant Fellowship and Way Down continue under the leadership of Shamblin's children, Michael and Elizabeth Shamblin Hannah. Listen, Michael is no longer in this cult. No longer in this cult. Keep that in mind. Michael has since spoken out, and we have that interview, by the way. He spoke out to News 5, a local outlet out in Tennessee. So we're going to look at that. But apparently, when she died, he took over, and the sister, Elizabeth, took over. Unless the new leadership chooses to return to Orthodox doctrine and renounce all cult like practice, Remnant Fellowship and Way Down will continue to be an organization to avoid. Okay. Yes, he's speaking. I mean, the man wants to, he's changed his name. That's how much he wants to be able to expose this cult. Okay. And I mean, it just, if you watch the docuseries, you understand just the horrific abuses. And I think I would definitely recommend that you guys watch it. HBO Max, you can get a free membership through them. Let's watch some of this new interview.
She was a rock star. To others, though, she was a cult leader. Well, now the son of Brentwood's Gwen Shamblin is talking about the woman he saw. Thanks for being with us tonight at 6. I'm Rory Johnson.
And I'm Carrie Sharp. In his first interview ever, Michael Shamblin says while some in her church want to put his late mother on a pedestal, it's important to see her as she really was. He shared his story in an exclusive interview with News Channel 5 Chief Investigative Reporter Phil Williams. Phil, this interview has a lot of people talking.
Absolutely. The first part of our interview aired late last night after the Super Bowl, and people have been watching it all throughout the day online. Michael Shamblin, who's now trying to recreate himself professionally as Michael S. Black, says his mother hurt a lot of people, including him.
This is the true church.
How does one begin to process the feelings of betrayal by a religious leader?
Welcome, seekers, to the Remnant Fellowship Church.
And let me stop right here. A Taylor, totally. I just saw your chat. I'm sending you a lot of love. Okay. And if you need anything, I mean, of course, reach out. Whatever we can do to assist. Thank you so much for the update. We are here for you. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, this is the local news station. She passed away in 2021. Her and her husband out of passed away in a, what is it, airplane crash. The guy that's reporting this, totally is somebody who had followed the story since like 2004. So he's been uncovering a lot of the cult stuff for quite some time. And I mean, he has such great insight because he was there when there was court filings. He was there when people were coming out and speaking out against the cult, for sure. Y'all keep talking about weight loss. Well, I eat a strawberry. That Ellen, I just had some McDonald's. What am I supposed to do, girl? Don't worry. I mean, clearly I would have been kicked out on day one if I was in a strict diet because of my cold. It's just hard. You know what I'm saying? It's just hard. Um, shout out to you. Let me see what y'all are saying. Yeah, her husband. Yes. So her husband, was it Joseph Lara? Is that the name? He played Tarzan. He was like an old actor. You know what I'm saying? Completely. Old actor. I know we're getting trolled, y'all. Just ban the trolls. Don't even trip about it. Some people just do too much on the chat.
Especially when that religious leader is also family.
And people wonder, how do people buy into cults, or how do they buy into
This is
these
Michael.
churches or charismatic leaders? It was my mother, and I went along with everything.
Not only did Michael Shamblin go along with it, he and his sister became part of Gwen Shamblin's Remnant Fellowship show. Michael brought the musical talent.
I remember her singing. Every song that she sang was to God. Every song was a love song to God.
His sister Elizabeth brought the eloquence.
Looking back on it, we were used. Me and my sister were used, and she would tell us this stuff. Like, she used us to pull people into the remnant, because she would use us as an example. Look how loyal and good my kids are.
So when Gwen Shamblin was killed in a plane crash 3 years ago, along with other remnant leaders, Michael Shamblin says he did not feel he had lost a mother. That had happened years before. When was the last time you felt like she was your mother?
Golly.
Oh
I'm
man.
going to go back a long ways. A lot of stuff has happened.
Do you remember the last time you told her that you loved her?
Genuinely?
Genuinely.
No.
This is really sad. And I think that so much of this has messed up Michael. There were so many allegations that were made. And I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch some of this again because it's been 2 years, 2021, literally 2 years since that docuseries came out. Michael left, but there was also like people, there was other people. It's just the whole organization as a whole is really crazy and just messed up in terms of how they treat each other. Yes, you could tell that this has really affected him so heavily. He was a musician and then he became part of the congregation and then he left, right? And so now he's speaking out. But not only is he speaking out, he's exposing because guess what? He was up there on that leadership too. He was up there. So he's exposing it all, which he doesn't have to do that, but he did. And I think that's awesome. And whatever he can do to heal himself is very important.
It would have been like college.
Michael says to really see the woman who was his mother, you have to go back in time.
I think there was a time, especially when we lived in Memphis in the early days, there was a more humble Gwen Shamblin at one point. I would definitely say that.
And what changed?
She started getting the praise from people. She started getting lifted up.
I've lost 196 pounds.
Her Way Down workshop, the Christian diet program that she and husband David had created, began sweeping the nation.
Tony Bennett tomorrow night. Our guest tonight is Gwen Shamblin. She is founder of the Way Down workshop and author of The Way Down Diet.
Just like so commonly happens, the ground started falling lower beneath her high heels. I think it changed, and all of a sudden it became the claps and the praise, it was for her. And it became something of I think people can get addicted to that.
America is in trouble here. We've got just as much divorce inside the church as out. The church has morphed into the world.
When I first met Shamblin in 2001, she was in the process of creating her own church, telling employees of her Way Down workshop they could either join Remnant Fellowship or find new jobs, even chastising me for daring to question her actions.
So to accuse me of being deceptive is a very strong language because I've been led by God to do this.
And watch what happened as she gave us a tour right in front of her then 20-year-old son.
This is our sound studio. My son cuts Christian music here. In fact, he's over at Sound Kitchen right now doing that.
That was a big day for us. I'm not sure they knew what was about to happen.
But she's talking about you like you're not standing right there.
Yeah, I was used to that.
What motivated Gwen Shamblin?
Praise, power. She loved the attention. She loved the spotlight.
Do you think that, let me ask you guys in the question, like, the way Michael talks about his mother, it was almost like there was one point where beginnings were humbling, and then suddenly it wasn't, where it got kind of all over to her head. I'm so glad you mentioned this person. Lori Vallow also said that she was sent by God. It definitely gave like Lori Vallow vibes, and we already know those horrific crimes that she committed, right, against her own children. I'm kind of wondering, like, when you see a leader get to this point, when do you step in and say, like, I mean, and this was her children, but should that be a red flag at this point? Because she did turn into a cult leader. And I'm kind of wondering too, like, think about it in a bigger picture. Do people typically decide, all right, not only am I going to be the person that preaches at the local church, but I'm also going to be a leader of and be a prophet. And then who decided that she's the prophet? Who decided? Who said that? Did somebody whisper to her head and that's what it was? Denise says, I attended the Way Down workshop in my church. Seemed like a good program. My church quit making the workshop available, and I disposed my material when I learned about her theology. Wow. That's interesting. That's interesting. Let me see what y'all are saying. Hey, Linda, welcome, welcome. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Thank you for being here. The font reminds me of medieval times, LOL. Her head got bigger. It wasn't just the hair. You're right. You're right, Shards. You're absolutely right. Hold up. Let me see what you guys are saying. She decided to become the prophet. Her personality disorder decided, says Erica. I heard from friends that there was definitely a change in Gwen. It just, thank you. And other two people that should be mentioned as well, right? Jody Hildebrand and Ruby Frankie, another example of women in power, and then it's like God is telling me to do this, or this is how it needs to go. Like, who decides? When do we decide that this position in power has gotten way to the head, so much so that not even Aquanet can hold it? The proximity to power being sent by God, then often others knew. Bend the knees or be removed. Jordy, wow. Loved what you just said here. Love it.
Remnant Nation, it is my prayer for you to be born again.
And the
Wow.
spotlight was just what she found as the head of Remnant Fellowship. Some inside Remnant viewed her as a prophet. Are you a prophet?
I don't believe I know what my gift name is. So I will tell you, I'm still wrestling with that. I've been told that for years.
When she was asked,
Wait, I don't know what my name is. I'm still wrestling with that, but I've been told for years. Okay, hey Christy. Interesting. Always ask a church, what doctrine do you follow? Tina, you ain't never lied. Thank you. Listen, some family not in the cult said that she was a very nice, but always a little strange, but just got more difficult as time went on and eventually quit talking to any of them. Wow, okay, Reggie. Kiriko says, I think she realized it. Her son was seeing it happen, but it grew on her. She had no clue, probably, and just ended up what how she was. I don't know though. She couldn't be a leader in a church she grew up in. So she because she was a woman. That's right. So she kind of started she ventured off on her own, which would suck. Like why can't women be leaders of whatever church, you want to do? But I don't know. You said this is part of her story I haven't heard about yet. Ooh. She told her parents to beat the devil out of their kids. That's true. She did tell that to parents. So much so that Joseph Smith would have had, the story of Joseph Smith should have been enough for her cult. Thank you. Joseph Smith is a young boy who was dealing with, I now you're going to have to correct me in the chat. I believe it was autism. And so she would tell parents to beat the ish out of their kids until they stopped crying or something like that. And it led to the death of this young boy, and these parents were incarcerated. Gwen Shamblin and her attorneys paid for their defense because of it. If I remember that correctly, correct me in the chat, but I'm pretty sure that's how it was. Okay.
She never would answer that question directly.
Mm-mm.
Do you have any kind of official title of the church?
Prophet.
I'm Gwen.
How did she see herself?
I believe she absolutely saw herself as a prophet.
Mm.
I believe she saw herself as having the answer to all of life's problems.
That's the reason I call her Gwen Almighty. She's going to decide whether you make it to heaven or not.
It was the person portrayed in the HBO Max docuseries, The Way Down, God, Greed, and the Cult of Gwen Shamblin. Were you and your sister ever told that you had a special religious significance or special role?
Yeah. Like there was a period of time when there was so many times that I tried to get out of the church.
Interesting.
But there was a time when I tried to go back and finish my college degree.
Michael says the message that he could not go back to college was delivered by another remnant leader.
And he had been told by Gwen to sit me down and say, you can't leave. You're anointed. They would use that word very commonly.
Anointed.
Anointed.
Meaning
it is destined by God. It's ordained by God. It was ordained by Gwen.
But then her son says his mother decided the rules did not apply to her.
Gwen, over the years, she started loosening her morals that she had been preaching to other people.
You notice how when Michael references his mother, he doesn't say, my mom. Actually, I feel like at some point, if I remember some of the other footage that I've seen, I mean, he felt pretty detached. He's felt pretty detached from his mother and what she has done. And so he's able to kind of talk about that and say, like, when or, I mean, just the trauma. I don't know about you guys, but you could see it physically on him too, that he has somehow been beat by this, and it's pretty sad. You could see just the trauma on it. It is. Yeah, so is this a different Joseph Smith? It was a different? Let me know. When he rebelled or went against her will, his destiny somehow disappeared. Thank you, Jordy D. Yes, but that's right. At the end, she wasn't his mother. Rem Arts, I mean, at some point, he had to have consolidated with that. Mm. That's interesting. He looks defeated. I would agree with you on that. This is a great comment. He just looks very defeated. Like, I'm glad that he's speaking out, but you could definitely see the pain in his eyes, and just his overall mannerism. You could tell that it's taken him quite some time to get here.
Because her husband David had not bought into her church, she decided he had to go. She divorced him, and David Shamblin was immediately replaced when she became engaged to Remnant member and actor Joe Lara in an elaborate scene captured on church video.
She goes and she changes the church doctrine on divorce. And so now all of a sudden, God has a more favorable opinion on divorce.
Now, wait a minute. Let me stop right here. I watched some of the engagement video, the wedding video, when oh my God, if I have ever seen a Days of Our Lives episode. You know, for us Mexicans, la novela, that would have been like novela type of, I don't know, they were like acting out some of the wedding dress and the hair and the this. Let me see if I could pull it up. Hold up. It's something, there's Gwen Shamblin wedding. Okay? It was like ridiculous to the fifth degree. Now this is out of her channel, okay? I believe she uploaded this specific stuff, okay? Right over here. Hold up. Let me see. Literally so much music, so much. I mean, they had a choir. Look at this. My goodness. The little girls, look at this. You would have thought that they would have had like the Pope coming through as well. Look at this. Princess Diana wedding. Look at this. She didn't need a man to walk her down the aisle. Keep that in mind. Look at that. Lord have mercy. The drama. It was a production. Yes, it was. I've seen weddings like this, and it was typically back in the day when I was younger. It was like the two Mexican huge actors getting married, Bibi Gaitán, Eduardo Capetillo, or something like Jackie O, type of wedding. That's how this was. I saw this. I said, "You have got to be kidding me!" The acting out of
To
this.
stand before God,
The acting out of this.
before you,
It's too much.
and before this unbelievable family of saints,
Look at that.
to become your husband.
Oh,
I have
Lord.
found my calling in life.
Now, all right. I'm just going to leave it at that. If y'all want to watch The Wedding of the Year, feel free to watch it. It's out there. You just gotta look at it. I'm just wondering who actually paid for the wedding. Who paid? John and Marlena, there you go. It was just too much. Listen, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not used to a mother having a sixth senses when their child is upset or hurting. I know my mom did. How does a mother like her not? No, Joras is a great question. Maybe she did. She just ignored it. That could have very well been the thing. Days of Our Lives is 1972. She divorced her first husband because he didn't want her to continue to profit and build brand off pain. Second husband wanted her to. The second husband was divorced, and he had a daughter, right? And even that, the woman that was married to Lara, she talked about the fact that like what she was they were doing the most to make her life impossible and a living hell, when the co-parenting was happening. Okay, keep that in mind. So let me go ahead and play this.
And the church leaders went along with it.
They went along with it.
The wedding
There you go.
became another Gwen Shamblin production.
It was all about her. It was so about her. Someone who's claiming to be taking care of the church.
And you're sitting there and your reaction is what?
I was already upset because of the divorce with my dad. It was just yet another shocking chapter in Gwen's life.
Interesting.
Michael Shamblin also watched her physically morph into someone he no longer recognized.
And truly, like, was it who was it in the chat that said something about her weight? And you know, it was a little bit. It just felt like she was a frail of a woman at some point. Like her physique changed. It just changed. It just did. She just did not look like the woman that was, very much energetic about, the Bible and the way down stuff. Her physique just changed. Her demeanor changed a bit too.
But Gwen started making herself look bizarre, and it was frightening. Her eyes,
The hair started getting taller.
but it became almost white, and her eyes became frightening blue, scary blue.
Now he wonders if anything he ever believed about his mother was true.
When she used to sing this song to me, and at first I always thought she was just kidding. It was a funny little, I don't even know where she got it. She'd come in and go, "Nobody loves you but your mother, and she may be jiving too." And she'd kind of do this little hip swing. And I'm like, yeah, that's funny. And then years later, I'm like, was she kidding?
Michael Shamblin shared a story with me about how he was once threatened because people feared that he would do exactly what he's doing now, going public with his story. We'll
Wow.
have that part of our exclusive interview. That's tomorrow night at 6.
So this aired about 2 days ago, and we're going to go to the other part, one of the other parts. And let me see if I could take us right there. Hold up. Hold up, y'all. Sorry. Here it is.
What is truth? And who has it?
For more than 20 years, it's a story that has fascinated me.
The way down. Here we go. It's the story of Gwen Shamblin.
Yes.
And the Remnant Fellowship, and they're in Brentwood, Tennessee.
And a lot of America.
Describe that as I describe kind of the belief system, and he goes, "Oh, that sounds like a cult."
The story of how Gwen Shamblin.
I got them on simple principles. Don't focus on it. Focus on God. Focus.
So, and by the way, that reporter was the one that had followed this story for many, many years. I mean, broke every exclusive. Keep that in mind. So he has a lot of information. I mean, he's been following this from jump.
It's on his wheel.
Went from being a popular Christian diet guru, and that's her church, the Remnant Fellowship, to what some consider to be a cult leader.
How members of Remnant behave is a bit like Handmaid's Tale.
Yet throughout all the controversies,
And you had a chance to tell her that was not correct.
That was not on there.
Instead, you said, praise the Lord.
No, that was not on there.
there was always one person who I firmly believed would one day have a story to tell.
Where's Michael? Where's my son?
Now, nearly 3 years after his mother's death in a plane crash,
Hey, Michael. Good to see you.
he's finally ready to speak his truth. 20 years ago, would you ever have imagined that you and I would be sitting down talking like this?
Phil, 20 years ago, early on in Remnant, you were the devil.
The devil.
Oh, yes. You were Satan incarnate, too.
Ooh, wee. Can you imagine? So, and who does he go and talk to? The people that he's not supposed to talk to? That is crazy. There's a local college that has a theater named after her. It was named before all this became public. Really? But CTN Treasure Finder, I wonder, like, that's interesting. We got to really be careful about naming buildings after people. I'm just saying. Thank you, that Ellen. Thank you for telling people to hit the like button, please, and thank you. Rachel H. It wouldn't surprise me if there was something on Hulu. Hey, Lexi. It wouldn't surprise me if there was something on Hulu, but the documentary that I saw 2 years ago was on HBO Max. Very good documentary. I mean, she died while they were making this docuseries because they were trying to get a statement from her. That's when the whole airplane crash happened, right around the time that they were releasing this. Hold up. At some point, the leader has to decide. I deserve to get everything I want, no matter whom I have to take it from. Ooh. The cult leader or just the leader? Wondering. Hey there, Mr. Poe. Shout out to you. Colleges typically name buildings after major donors. Someone mentioned it, and she didn't leave anything to the church. She left it to her family, all the houses, money. Wow. Wow. That is true, Bo Peep. You tell them, it says, I hate the terms my, your, his, her truth. The truth is the truth. And it's not a subjective concept. And it doesn't have gender. It's the truth. The truth is the truth, right? Right, Miss Bo Peep? That's a great comment. Oh, wow. Yes, she divorced her husband and married the Tarzan guy. Yes. I know his last name is Lara. What is his first name? Let me know in the chat. Like, is it Joseph Lara? I don't want to say that, but I'm pretty sure it's Joseph Lara.
The Remnant early on, because, of course, Gwen was telling us all that.
Does Remnant advocate repeated spankings of children over and over
Right there.
and over?
No, sir.
Absolutely not.
No, sir.
Absolutely not.
The
Joe,
last time I had
thank
seen
you.
Michael, I was interviewing his mother and another church leader about the child abuse death of an 8-year-old remnant boy.
Right here.
Wisdom is is more precious.
Whose mom and dad were taking their cues on parenting from the church.
And where's Michael? Where's my son?
Michael was just 23.
You got to keep in mind, my son, this is, I mean, to see someone attack his mom, it's hard. But anyway, I know that.
We were showing him that video from 20 years ago when he suddenly reacted.
It did bother me.
That I was asking those kind of questions
Yes,
of your mother?
It did. To be completely honest, I was bothered.
You were pissed.
I was.
Look at him.
That was hard on me. But that's what makes it even more incredible now that I'm sitting here, have come full circle 180.
Wow.
I look at you more as a hero of it all now.
Michael and I had connected on social media more than a year ago when he followed me from an account in the name of Michael S. Black, an identity he's now trying to establish professionally.
Oh, wow.
The Michael S. Black type thing is more of me. It's a person who's tired of being used and abused from Gwen Shamblin.
The Shamblin name to you is just too toxic at this point.
It has been.
She's just playing God. It's wrecking families. It's wrecking kids.
That's even more true in the wake of the HBO Max series released more than 2 years ago titled The Way Down, God, Greed, and the Cult of Gwen Shamblin.
I think they actually did a fantastic job. I've heard people say, of course, Remnant, they're not even allowed to watch that in Remnant. That's how close of an environment it is.
Michael's view of his mother now, who was the real Gwen Shamblin?
Sounds familiar. I wonder if they also are not allowed to be on the internet or deal with anything online. I mean, seriously, a lot of this sounds very much cultish. Like a lot of these cults have very similar tactics, right? Let me know.
Shamblin.
Gwen Shamblin Laura was a narcissist. She always had the answer. She knew more than anybody in the room, wherever she went.
And I noticed you don't call her mom, you don't call her mother, you call her Gwen.
That's from habit. I quit calling her mother probably around 2010.
Why?
Because we were so at odds.
And what about the Remnant Fellowship, where he was once one of the worship leaders?
People have been hurt, fallen by the wayside, have been victim to it. People have been financially hurt by it. It's hard to call it a church in my mind. It is a church, but it's a cult.
You think it is a cult?
I do believe it's a cult.
Why do you say that?
Because it's a group of people who are devoted to a person, Gwen Shamblin Laura.
Wait.
Michael says when his mother's plane crashed into Nashville's Percy Priest Lake in 2021, killing her husband Joe Lara, and 5 remnant leaders, he was already estranged from the group that he now considers a dangerous cult.
So it's interesting, the makeup of this group. And if you go to their website, I mean, they got a lot more people there. Jordy says they could get online, but so you just have to rebuke the information you didn't get from her? So would I have to rebuke google.com if I use it as a source of information? Not that I'm saying that that's Bible, but if I ask Google, show me the Bible verse, they're going to show it to me. This is insane. Yeah, I wonder if the daughter acts like Gwen now. I don't know. That's a good question. But that's my understanding, is that she took leadership over some of this, right?
By that point, I had spent so many years getting with abuse from some of these people that I never shed one tear. Not one. And to this day, I have never cried about it.
Not for your mother?
The people dying. Nope.
Wow.
Never cried for her.
Leaving the church right after that, as his marriage to another remnant member was falling apart, Michael says he found himself sinking into a major depression.
I got so depressed that I quit turning on the lights.
Wow.
A shadow on the wall.
That's when he wrote a song he titled Down.
So, because remember, he used to write the music for the church.
I set it up to angels, but I was actually empty.
Wow.
And I was down.
We were told we've got it. We've got the answer. Remnant knows they have the answer.
The one true church.
The one true church.
It's hard to keep believing when my only solid ground starts to fall down.
Can you imagine having to consolidate all that? Like, oh my God, I feel for this guy. Um, hmm.
I look back on my life and go, what were we doing? What was I thinking? I wish I could go back and see my earlier self and go, no, this was not. There are people being hurt here.
Thank you.
You're not 100% innocent.
This is interesting. He says there are people being hurt here. Like somebody who is the son of this prophet who, that's what she believes she was, can recognize that. Now looking back.
Perfect. Going along with this. We thought we were headed up, but it was a decline.
Wow, just fascinating to hear his perspective. So, Phil, how much time did you have with him?
We spent a few hours together this week, and I think every member of our crew was touched by how open he was about his pain, so genuine about that. All this week, we will hear what he has to say about his mother, Gwen Shamblin, and a lot more. I can guarantee you we will be making news this week.
Wow.
All right, Phil, thanks.
So let me go take you back to another. Gwen Shamblin's son described the threat with sniper bullets. Okay.
Delivered with a sniper. Gwen Shamblin.
Here we
Good
go.
evening to you. I'm Carrie Sharp.
And I'm Hunter Hoagland. Michael Shamblin says his mother and her new husband were always afraid that he'd go public with his concerns about what he believes was the cult she headed, which he says led him to being threatened. Michael Shamblin has been sharing that experience in an exclusive interview with News Channel 5 Chief Investigative Reporter Phil Williams. Phil, what'd you find?
Well, Michael Shamblin admits he was not happy when his mother, the founder of Brentwood's Remnant Fellowship, divorced his dad and married another Remnant member. Still, he says he never expected where all of that would lead.
Oh, Lord. The theatrics of this wedding. He just picked her up. I'm sorry, y'all. Like, I don't know.
For Brentwood's Remnant Fellowship, the wedding of Gwen Shamblin was a highly orchestrated church event, an event where their prophet was not only the bride, but the star of the show. Shamblin married actor Joe Laura less than 2 months after she divorced her husband of almost 40 years. The result, her son says, of a not-so-discreet affair in front of her church.
They would travel to.
That's right. And then they changed the divorce policy. Keep that in mind. Hey, Virginia. Hey, Virginia Martinez. Welcome, welcome. Lord have mercy, yo.
Together. Her and
No,
Joe
no.
would travel together. They started being sat next to each other at leadership house parties, things of that nature. She was essentially committing adultery.
Yes. There's
When
the
Shamblin
husband.
had fallen for the Tarzan star after he began attending services at her church, Joe Laura was seemingly out of central casting for his new remnant role.
He didn't like me because I was the one guy who was not going to kiss up to him. And I didn't really like him either. I didn't trust him. I always kind of felt like he's acting.
Michael Shamblin says his dad, David, later confided he had discovered a secret bank account that Gwen Shamblin had used to buy gifts for Laura while she was still married to David.
Oh my
David
God.
Shamblin he never had an affair against her. He was not out drinking he was intent to be married to her his whole life. He was a good father.
I have found my calling in life, and it is to be by your side, and I will never forsake it.
Still, Michael speculates his mother may not have had the fairy tale ending for which she had hoped.
And from the day she divorced David Shamblin until the day of her death, they never had 1 month of peace.
Wow.
Her and Joe. Every month was custody fights with his ex, Natasha, or...
Thank you. That was her name, Natasha. And that was shown in the docuseries that there was a concern. Luckily, the little girl, because Joe Lara had a child with Natasha, um, was not on this airplane. But then we found out, now it's all coming back to me, Joe Lara's pilot license was expired. There was so much crazy stuff with Joe Lara's background that was so concerning that was discovered after his death.
Or there was constant issues, constant trouble.
I'll keep shining my light, shining my light.
Life with God is so good.
The couple began producing an online video series called Life with Gwen and Joe.
Keep shining my light.
And they were reportedly trying to land a deal for a reality TV show. Michael says the pair worried about him.
By this point, I was considered practically an enemy of Gwen. We just played the game. I was still there.
Worried about what he might do.
She knew for years that I was kind of a threat to go to the media.
Wow.
To do exactly what I'm doing now.
He says that's when Joe, a man who was proficient with a sniper rifle, took him out behind Gwen's plantation-style home.
He showed me a Creedmoor sniper round, and he said, "This is what we're going to take you out with from 1,200 yards."
So just to be clear, Joe Lara showed you a sniper's bullet and said that that could be aimed at you.
Yes. It's an asshole comment.
And you took that as a threat?
I did.
They're so incredibly tasty. They're fresh, they're natural, and they grow here on the property.
Despite the image, Michael insists Joe wasn't a good influence on Gwen.
She started experimenting with marijuana, and I heard from people from even harder drugs.
Okay, we can go to Pompanos now.
That's what I heard too.
It was constant intoxication on trips and things like that.
But did Remnant approve of drinking?
Remnant didn't, the average Remnant person didn't know any of that. They would only know what they see in the worship service.
Still, Michael Shamblin says there's a part of him that almost felt sorry for Joe.
I could tell he didn't want to be there. He'd rather, that's why he was flying so much. It's an escape.
And Laura would be at the controls when their plane crashed into Nashville's Percy Priest Lake.
I don't even think he was licensed at the time that plane crashed. Everyone at that airport knew Joe wasn't careful and never did pre-flight inspections of flight plans. Thank you, Jordy D. That's right. That a lot of stuff came out. Yeah, these were the people. So like the strict rules were for the folks at the church, but not for them because they were the prophets. Yeah, kind of like Tammy Faye Baker vibes. I would say a little bit of that. Definitely. Fundy Fridays, shout out to Fundy Fridays, did a phenomenal breakdown of this too. But a lot of this was just like these flying airplanes and you're not certified and you weren't careful. Didn't even like, I don't know. I don't know, man.
I think deep down, I think once he got into that position, I think he wanted out.
He wanted a divorce.
He wanted out of that because he had no clue how controlling and what kind of life that was going to be with Gwen.
Now, Michael Shamblin also revealed one of the big reasons why he came to decide that Remnant Fellowship was a cult at a time when he was actually considered to be one of its leaders. It was a secret system for keeping track of members. You'll hear what he had to say about that as our investigation continues Thursday at 6. Carrie?
Oh, so that hasn't aired yet, but now I'm kind of wondering how he figured that out because today's Thursday and it's not out yet. Hold up, let me see. Oh my gosh, that would be awesome if it's out. OMG, it's not out yet. I'll be following up on that. Oh my gosh. See, and that reporter was the one that had been following this for quite some time. I mean, if you haven't watched it, say you don't have HBO Max, you can watch it on Fundy Fridays. She does a really great breakdown on it. I'm looking for it. I want to know what the system that they kept everybody under control. Okay. But I wanted to talk about Michael's story because he's speaking now and notice that he was also part of that leadership. And he has said, there's just so much dangerous stuff in this whole cult. Wanted to speak out as the son of this prophet or cult leader or whatever, you know. I think that was important for him. I think it really mirrors him trying to reconcile with his part, but also overall make sense of everything. And you could just see it in his face that clearly the trauma has really beaten him for quite some time. It like you could tell that he's been through a lot. Shout out to him, and I wish him nothing but the best if he's watching any of these YouTube videos. Definitely, I think it's heroic for him to, come out and speak. But yeah, people follow people blindly. Okay, people, regular schmegular people follow people blindly. Got to be careful with that. You do. All right, guys, I'm going to let you guys go. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, okay? Let me know what you think. What do you think about Michael? What do you think about the whole fellowship? Is this going to be the thing that'll make it crumble down? If you're from the local area, shout out to you. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you guys on the next one because I got to go head to bed and tend to baby bunny. All right. Bye, guys.